Why didn't Pernell Roberts attend Dan Blocker's funeral? It's a question that has puzzled and intrigued fans for decades. To understand the answer, we must look beyond their time on Bonanza, a groundbreaking show that defined an era of television. On screen, Adam and Hoss Cartwright were brothers who embodied loyalty, love, and mutual respect. Behind the cameras, however, Pernell Roberts and Dan Blocker were two men with starkly contrasting personalities, philosophies, and approaches to fame. Pernell Roberts was a fiercely independent actor, driven by a passion for meaningful storytelling and a commitment to social justice. Known for his sharp intellect and outspoken nature, he often clashed with the show's producers, frustrated by what he saw as its reluctance to tackle deeper social issues. Dan Blocker, in contrast, was a gentle giant with a warm and humorous spirit. His easygoing nature and genuine kindness made him beloved both on and off screen, as he fully embraced his role as Hoss Cartwright. When the news of Dan Blocker's sudden death in 1972 broke, the world mourned the loss of a beloved actor whose warmth had touched so many lives. His funeral became a heartfelt gathering of friends, family, and colleagues to honor his life. Yet one absence stood out. Pernell Roberts did not attend. Was it lingering bitterness? A deeply personal way of grieving? Or something even more complex? To uncover the truth, we'll delve into the lives of these two television legends, their contrasting paths, their time on Bonanza, and the legacy they left behind. Their story is more than a Hollywood tale. It's a compelling look at ambition, humanity, and the bonds forged in the spotlight. Born in 1928 in Waycross, Georgia, Pernell Roberts grew up with a love for literature, music, and the arts. His intellectual curiosity and sharp wit set him apart early on, and he carried these traits into his career. A natural performer, Roberts was drawn to the stage, where he could fully explore his passion for meaningful storytelling. He studied at the University of Maryland, but didn't conform to the traditional academic path, choosing instead to focus on theater and music. Roberts' commitment to the stage was unparalleled. From Shakespearean classics to modern dramas, he gravitated toward roles that challenged both himself and his audience. He thrived on the depth and complexity of characters, often speaking about the power of theater to inspire change and provoke thought. This hunger for intellectual and emotional resonance would later define his frustrations with the limited scope of television storytelling. Pernell was not just an artist, but also a vocal advocate for social justice. In a time when many in Hollywood avoided controversial topics, Roberts spoke out about civil rights and equality. His commitment to living authentically, even if it meant clashing with others, made him a polarizing yet highly respected figure in the industry. In contrast, Dan Blocker's life was rooted in simplicity, warmth, and a deep connection to people. Born in 1928 in Bowie County, Texas, he was a towering figure even as a child, weighing 14 pounds at birth. Despite his imposing size, those who knew him described him as a kind-hearted and gentle soul. His humility and humor were as large as his stature. Blocker's life took a dramatic turn during the Korean War, where he served as an infantry sergeant. The experience of war shaped his perspective, instilling in him a sense of resilience and compassion that he carried throughout his life. Upon returning to civilian life, Blocker pursued a degree in education and worked as a teacher before his path veered into acting, a field he approached with curiosity rather than ambition. Acting came naturally to Blocker, not because he sought fame, but because of his ability to connect with audiences through sincerity and humor. He had an uncanny knack for bringing warmth to every role, from bit parts in early westerns to his breakthrough as Hoss Cartwright. Fans adored him not just for his performances, but for the genuine kindness he exuded in interviews and public appearances. While Roberts wrestled with the weight of his artistic aspirations, Blocker found joy in the simplicity of making people smile. He often downplayed his success, joking that his career owed more to his size than his talent, though those who worked with him knew better. His humor and self-awareness made him a beloved figure on set and beyond. Pernell Roberts and Dan Blocker were, in many ways, opposites. The intellectual artist and the gentle giant, the passionate advocate and the unassuming performer. Yet, Their differences complemented each other, creating a dynamic that resonated deeply with audiences. Their backgrounds, shaped by ambition and humility respectively, set the stage for the unique chemistry they brought to Bonanza, a chemistry that would define their legacies in television history. Pernell Roberts' journey to Hollywood began in the world of theater, where he honed his craft and built a reputation as an exceptional stage actor. Born with a natural affinity for performance, Roberts gravitated toward roles that demanded depth and nuance. His passion for the stage took root early, and by the late 1940s, he was already making waves in local theater productions. Roberts truly flourished in the world of Shakespeare. His rich baritone voice and commanding presence made him a natural fit for classical roles. He brought Hamlet's inner turmoil to life and infused Othello with palpable emotion, earning the respect of peers and critics alike. His ability to handle the complex language and intricate emotions of Shakespeare's works demonstrated a rare talent and dedication to his craft. Not content to limit himself to one genre, Roberts also excelled in modern theater. He performed in Broadway productions, including The Night of the Iguana and The Visit, showcasing his versatility as an actor. His work earned him critical acclaim, and he became known as a performer who could disappear into a role, making each character his own. However, Roberts' deep commitment to meaningful storytelling often put him at odds with the entertainment industry's commercial demands. He rejected roles he felt lacked substance, setting a pattern of principled decision-making that would later define his time on Bonanza. Dan Blocker's path to acting was less direct, but no less impactful. Growing up in Texas, Blocker's imposing size was his most notable feature, but those who knew him were quick to point out his gentle demeanor and sense of humor. His early life revolved around education and family, with little indication that he would one day become a household name. Blocker's life took a dramatic turn when he was drafted into the U.S. Army during the Korean War. Serving as an infantry sergeant, he faced the harsh realities of combat, an experience that would leave a lasting impression. Blocker's time in the military instilled in him a sense of resilience and humility that defined his approach to life and acting. He was awarded a Purple Heart for his bravery, though he rarely spoke of his service, preferring to focus on the future. After the war, Blocker returned to civilian life and pursued a degree in education, becoming a teacher. His transition to acting was almost accidental. A chance opportunity to appear in local theater productions revealed a natural talent for performing. Encouraged by friends and colleagues, he decided to pursue acting more seriously, moving to California to try his luck in Hollywood. Blocker's early career was a mix of small roles in westerns and comedic shorts. His size made him a natural fit for tough, larger-than-life characters, but it was his warmth and humor that set him apart. He appeared in episodes of Gunsmoke, The Rifleman, and Cheyenne, gradually building a reputation as a dependable character actor. While Pernell Roberts pursued acting as a serious art form, and Dan Blocker approached it as an unexpected opportunity, both men shared a love for the craft. Roberts' rigorous stage training gave him a depth of skill that demanded respect, while Blocker's natural charisma and authenticity made him a joy to watch. Their early careers couldn't have been more different, but these experiences laid the foundation for the success they would find together on Bonanza. When Bonanza premiered in 1959, it wasn't just another Western. The show broke new ground by centering its stories around the Cartwright family, a father and his three sons navigating life on a sprawling Nevada ranch. To bring this ambitious concept to life, creator David Dortort carefully selected actors who could embody the unique traits of each family member. The casting of Pernell Roberts as Adam and Dan Blocker as Hoss was deliberate, and their performances became essential to the show's success. Pernell Roberts was cast as Adam Cartwright, the eldest son and the intellectual anchor of the family. Adam's character was defined by his education, sophistication, and quiet authority. As an architectural engineer with a sharp mind and a calm demeanor, Adam was the thinker and problem solver of the Cartwright clan. Roberts brought a natural gravitas to the role, his stage experience lending Adam an air of seriousness and refinement that set him apart. Roberts' portrayal of Adam emphasized his sense of responsibility and moral integrity. He often served as the voice of reason during the family's challenges, offering logical solutions to conflicts. Yet, Adam's reserved nature also carried a hint of emotional distance, a trait Roberts subtly infused with layers of complexity. This made Adam not just the smart brother, but a character viewers could respect and admire for his quiet strength. Dan Blocker, on the other hand, brought a completely different energy to the role of Eric Hoss Cartwright. Nicknamed Hoss for his large size and gentle nature, the middle Cartwright brother was the emotional center of the family. Hoss was loyal, compassionate, and deeply empathetic, with a big heart that matched his imposing physical stature. Blocker's natural charm and sense of humor made Hoss an instant fan favorite. Blocker infused the character with warmth and authenticity, creating a lovable giant who could make audiences laugh one moment and bring them to tears the next. Hoss was often the brother who championed the underdog, whether it was rescuing a stray animal or standing up for someone in need. His genuine kindness balanced Adam's intellectual precision, creating a dynamic that felt both natural and relatable. The contrasting personalities of Adam and Hoss added depth and richness to the Cartwright family dynamic. Adam's intellect and formality often clashed with Hoss's simplicity and open-heartedness, creating moments of subtle tension that mirrored real-life sibling relationships. These differences also allowed the characters to complement each other, with Adam's logical mind balancing Hoss's emotional instincts. Off-screen, the actors' personalities echoed their characters in surprising ways. Roberts, a perfectionist who was often outspoken about his artistic ideals, brought the same intensity to his role as Adam. Blocker, with his easygoing nature and hearty laugh, embraced the light-hearted aspects of Hoss. While their approaches to acting were different, both men shared a mutual respect that translated into a believable bond on screen. The deliberate casting of Pernell Roberts and Dan Blocker was a masterstroke in shaping the identity of Bonanza. Their performances not only defined their characters, but also set the tone for the show's exploration of family, morality, and the challenges of frontier life. Together, they created a balance of intellect and emotion that became the cornerstone of the Cartwright family, and the enduring legacy of Bonanza. The success of Bonanza on screen was undeniable, but behind the scenes, the show presented unique challenges for its cast. Challenges that affected Pernell Roberts and Dan Blocker in very different ways. While both actors contributed significantly to the show's legacy, their experiences on set highlighted their contrasting approaches to their craft and their personalities. For Pernell Roberts, the repetitive nature of Bonanza's storytelling became a major source of frustration. Coming from a rich background in stage acting, where each role offered a fresh challenge, Roberts found television's formulaic approach stifling. Week after week, he portrayed Adam Cartwright, the intelligent and responsible elder brother, but he felt the role lacked growth and depth. Roberts often criticized the show for its refusal to tackle more serious social issues, such as racism and class inequality, topics he was passionate about in real life. Roberts' dissatisfaction wasn't just about the scripts. He frequently voiced his frustration with what he saw as the infantilization of the Cartwright brothers. Despite being adult men, their characters often had to seek approval from their father, Ben, played by Lorne Greene. Roberts publicly referred to this dynamic as adolescent and said it undermined the independence and complexity of the brothers. His outspoken nature didn't always sit well with producers and co-stars, leading to tensions on set. While his critiques were rooted in a genuine desire to elevate the show's storytelling, they also made Roberts a polarizing figure. To some, he was a principled artist standing up for quality and depth. To others, he was a disruptive presence who struggled to conform to the collaborative nature of television. Ultimately, Roberts' frustration grew to the point where he decided to leave the show in 1965, walking away from one of the most popular series of its time. In contrast to Roberts' struggles, Dan Blocker embraced his role on Bonanza with humor and humility. While he may not have shared Roberts' artistic aspirations, Blocker found joy in bringing Hoss Cartwright to life. His approach to acting was grounded in authenticity, and he often used his natural charm and sense of humor to create memorable moments on screen. Fans adored Hoss for his kindness and relatability, and Blocker's portrayal became one of the show's defining elements. However, Blocker's time on Bonanza wasn't without its challenges. In 1962, while filming an episode called The Dowry, Blocker and Roberts were involved in a serious accident. The scene required them to ride horses down a muddy hill, but Roberts' horse stumbled and fell, causing a chain reaction that brought Blocker down as well. Both actors tried to jump clear, but the fall resulted in injuries. Roberts sprained his neck, while Blocker broke his collarbone and separated his shoulder. Despite the physical toll, Blocker approached his recovery with characteristic resilience. The crew adapted scripts to accommodate his injury, often filming scenes with his arm in a sling. Blocker's determination to continue working, even in the face of adversity, earned him respect from his co-stars and crew. His positive attitude and easygoing nature made him a stabilizing force on set, a stark contrast to the more intense and often critical Roberts. While Roberts wrestled with his creative dissatisfaction and the limits of television, Blocker focused on making the most of his role and bringing warmth to the set. Their differing experiences reflected not only their personalities, but also their priorities. Roberts' drive for artistic integrity and Blocker's emphasis on connection and humor. These behind-the-scenes challenges didn't just define their time on Bonanza. They revealed the complexity of working on a show that was as demanding as it was iconic. Ultimately, their contrasting approaches to these challenges enriched Bonanza. Roberts' intensity brought depth and intelligence to Adam, while Blocker's humor and heart made Hoss unforgettable. Together, they helped create a family dynamic that resonated with millions of viewers, even as they navigated their own struggles behind the scenes. The legacies of Dan Blocker and Pernell Roberts were as distinct as the philosophies that guided their lives. While both men left an indelible mark on Bonanza, their differing approaches to fame, family, and art shaped how they viewed their work and how they are remembered today. Dan Blocker was a man who lived by a simple yet profound philosophy. We shall pass this way but once. If there is any kindness we can show, let us do it now. This guiding principle defined his life both on and off screen. Blocker's portrayal of Hoss Cartwright reflected his real-life compassion and generosity, earning him a reputation as one of Hollywood's most genuine actors. Unlike many of his peers, Blocker never sought the spotlight. Despite the fame Bonanza brought him, he remained grounded and focused on his family. In 1970, he moved his wife and 4 children to Switzerland, seeking a quieter, more peaceful life away from the pressures of Hollywood. Blocker loved the tranquility of Lake Geneva and valued the opportunity to raise his children in a more grounded environment. Blocker's humility extended to his career. While he recognized the impact of Bonanza, he often downplayed his own contributions, joking that his size, not his talent, was his ticket to fame. But those who worked with him knew better. His ability to bring humor and heart to Hoss made him a beloved figure on set and a fan favorite. His low-key, kind-hearted approach to life and work left an enduring impression, both on the people he worked with and the audiences who adored him. Pernell Roberts' philosophy was shaped by a deep commitment to artistic integrity and a desire to challenge societal norms. A self-described intellectual and advocate for social justice, Roberts often viewed television as a medium that fell short of its potential. He was outspoken in his belief that Bonanza should tackle more serious issues, such as racism and social inequality. Roberts felt the show's stories were too simplistic and missed opportunities to provoke thought and inspire change. Despite his criticisms, Roberts occasionally praised the show for its progressive moments. Episodes like Enter Thomas Bowers, which addressed racism, and The Wish, which touched on themes of inequality, aligned with his values and showed glimpses of what he believed television could achieve. He acknowledged that these episodes were rare, but appreciated that Bonanza sometimes ventured into territory that challenged audiences. Roberts' decision to leave Bonanza in 1965 was a direct result of his dissatisfaction with the medium. He sought more meaningful roles and opportunities to grow as an artist, even if it meant leaving behind a wildly popular series. This decision, though controversial at the time, highlighted his commitment to his principles and his willingness to take risks for the sake of his craft. Dan Blocker and Pernell Roberts left behind legacies that reflected their contrasting philosophies. Blocker's warmth, humility, and love for his family made him a symbol of kindness and groundedness in an industry often dominated by ego. His portrayal of Hoss Cartwright remains a beloved example of how television can bring joy and heart to audiences. Roberts, on the other hand, is remembered as a principled artist who wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo. His criticisms of Bonanza and the television industry as a whole sparked conversations about the role of entertainment in addressing social issues. While his time on the show was marked by tension, his contributions to the character of Adam Cartwright and his occasional praise for Bonanza's progressive efforts showed that even he recognized its cultural impact. Together, Blocker and Roberts demonstrated that success in entertainment can be defined in many ways. Whether through quiet kindness or vocal advocacy, their legacies endure as reminders of the diverse paths to greatness and the lasting power of their work on Bonanza. Dan Blocker's sudden death in 1972 sent shockwaves through Hollywood and deeply affected the Bonanza cast, crew, and fans. At just 43 years old, Blocker passed away from a pulmonary embolism following gallbladder surgery. His untimely death marked a profound turning point for the show and left a void that could never be filled. Blocker's passing wasn't just the loss of a beloved actor. It was the loss of the heart and soul of Bonanza. As Hoss Cartwright, Blocker had brought warmth, humor, and kindness to every episode, creating a character that audiences loved and related to. Off-screen, his easygoing nature and sense of humor made him a favorite among his colleagues, and his absence was deeply felt by everyone who had worked with him. The producers of Bonanza faced a difficult decision after Blocker's death. In a groundbreaking move for television at the time, they chose to acknowledge his passing rather than recast the role or write Hoss out quietly. The show's 14th season opened with a subdued tone, and while the specifics of Hoss's death were not detailed, it was clear that the Cartwright family, and the actors portraying them, were grieving. Michael Landon, who played Little Joe, later shared how deeply Blocker's death affected him. He admitted that whenever he needed to cry during a scene, he would think about Blocker. The loss of Hoss altered the dynamic of Bonanza, and the show struggled to regain its footing. Without Blocker's presence, the series lost much of its emotional core, and its 14th season would ultimately be its last. One of the most enduring mysteries surrounding Blocker's death was the absence of Pernell Roberts at his funeral. Roberts had left Bonanza 7 years earlier, frustrated by the limitations of television and seeking greater artistic fulfillment. His departure strained relationships with some of his co-stars and the show's producers, though he maintained a measure of respect for certain individuals, including Blocker. Roberts' decision not to attend the funeral has been the subject of speculation for decades. Some suggest it was a reflection of lingering bitterness toward Bonanza and its producers, while others believe it was a deeply personal choice rooted in his private nature. Roberts was known to avoid public displays of emotion, preferring to grieve in his own way. Given the media attention surrounding Blocker's death, it's possible that Roberts felt his presence at the funeral would have drawn unwanted focus. Another interpretation is that Roberts' absence stemmed from his complex relationship with grief. He was introspective, even brooding at times, and often dealt with loss in a solitary manner. Years later, Roberts spoke fondly of Blocker, describing him as a kind and generous man who was impossible not to like. His comments suggest that while they may not have been close friends, Roberts held Blocker in high regard and likely mourned his passing in his own way. Blocker's funeral became a moment of collective mourning for the cast and fans of Bonanza. Stories about the event, including the apocryphal claim that Blocker was buried in a piano box due to his large stature, underscored the larger-than-life presence he had in the public's imagination. In reality, Blocker was laid to rest in a modest family plot in Texas, a fittingly humble farewell for a man who valued simplicity and kindness. The ripple effect of Blocker's death went beyond the show. His passing highlighted the humanity behind the characters and the actors who played them, reminding fans that the bonds they saw on screen were often just as real off-screen. For Bonanza, the loss of Hoss marked the beginning of the end. The show's final season struggled to connect with audiences, and without Blocker's grounding presence, it could no longer sustain the same emotional resonance. For Pernell Roberts, Blocker's death was a poignant reminder of the time they had shared on one of television's most iconic series. While his absence from the funeral sparked questions, his later reflections on Blocker revealed a quiet respect for the man who had brought so much heart to Bonanza. The tragic loss of Dan Blocker remains a defining chapter in the show's history, a moment that underscored the fragility of life and the enduring legacy of kindness and connection. Pernell Roberts and Dan Blocker were as different off-screen as Adam and Hoss Cartwright were on-screen. Roberts brought sharp intellect, quiet authority, and a deep sense of purpose to his work, while Blocker embodied kindness, humor, and a warm-hearted approach to life. These differences, rather than dividing them, became the foundation of their shared success. Together, they created a dynamic family dynamic on Bonanza that millions of fans came to love. While Pernell sought to challenge television's limits, demanding more depth and complexity, Dan embraced the joy of connecting with audiences through humor and heart. Their legacies reflect their philosophies. Roberts' commitment to meaningful art and Blocker's belief in simple yet powerful acts of kindness. Though their approaches to fame and life were worlds apart, their combined contributions elevated Bonanza to a level of timelessness rarely achieved in television. As we reflect on their impact, perhaps the best way to honor them is to revisit the magic they brought to the screen. Laugh at Hoss's heartfelt antics, admire Adam's quiet wisdom, and embrace the enduring lessons of family, morality, and humanity they helped to teach. Though their time on Bonanza ended long ago, the legacy of Pernell Roberts and Dan Blocker continues to inspire and remind us of the power of connection and the beauty of authentic storytelling. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more Hollywood stories. See you next time.